Yo, what up? It's your boy, 410 Josh. We back in the building for Throwback Thursday. Thank y'all for coming back. Been still getting a lot of great feedback on all the videos and especially with Throwback Thursday. So I appreciate y'all's support out there. Again, if you haven't done it already, make sure you go to my YouTube page, 410 Josh, hip hop _ 4123. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Hit me in the inbox. We can interact. We can chat. Hit me in the comments. We can do the same thing. So we back for our third Throwback Thursday. And we got another two classics, one from a female, one from a male, two classic hip hop albums, game changing albums. And I think y'all really going to enjoy these. So let's hop right into it. First off, we got the legendary, iconic, one of the pioneers of hip hop, Queen Latifah. And we're going to review her album. It's her third album. It's called Black Rain. This album was released in November 16th of 1993. So it's coming up on a 30-year anniversary. This was her most successful album. The album actually went gold. And this album was a really, really, really big album for her and females in general for hip hop. So Black Rain, let me tell y'all the first time I heard about this. So I was listening to the radio, cause I used to, if you was a kid and you really was into hip hop, everybody had a boombox. You either had your little cassette player with AM and FM radio, or you had a boombox. And, I first heard the song, UNITY. Now, that song was a really positive message, to uplift, women in general, in particular black women, but I think now just in women in general. And just the way the beat was, with the saxophone and the hook was just, it just drew you right in. This is when, hip hop was really about, fusing, taking other styles of music, whether it was jazz, funk, soul, R&B, and putting it together, with the break beats and drums, and really got a jazzy, feel with this record. And UNITY was a monster hit. UNITY, that's a unity. So I think everybody knows that if you grew up in the 90s. So once I heard that record, I was like, oh yeah. I mean, of course, I've heard Queen Latifah before with Flavor Unit, but this made me a fan of her music. And we can run through, some of the other tracks on the album. Just Another Day, classic, iconic hip hop record, the second single from the album. I'm going to just go on and say Just Another Day is not just one of the greatest hip hop songs, but one of the greatest songs, period. Just for the way she was able to paint a picture of her as a young girl, a young black girl living in the hood, being around, her family and her friends and not having much, but making do with what she had. So this was a really, really monster record. And I heard this record, actually I saw the video on the box. If you grew up in the 90s kid, you remember the box. I actually saw the video. And when I saw the video, her black and white and the overalls and the hoodie and all her people, it was like, oh, this album is what hip hop is supposed to look like and sound like. Traditional boom bap, scratching the two turntables and the mic. This is what that record's supposed to sound like. And it's supposed to look like. So you had many other records. I Can't Stand, Rough, the DJ's Interlude, Bring the Flavor, Superstar, Weekend Love, Mood Is Right. I mean, this album was a classic. It was a game changer because not only it put, women in the light of being, being able to compete with lyricists, but you had a pioneer at the time where, the game was changing and going a lot more mainstream, and she's, still out there letting you know, like, oh, I'm still one of them. I might have been in this game 10 years prior to y'all, and y'all might be getting superstardom and Grammys and all of that, but I'm still here and I'm spitting harder than all of y'all. So, it was definitely a monster record. Queen Latifah she delivered like you would never believe with this record. Where she is now, I know Queen Latifah was doing some acting for a minute. I know some years ago, she was up for a Golden Globe and an Oscar. I know she still got Flavor Unit businesses, and everybody remembers her sitcom Living Single. She did a jazz album before the Dana Owens album. That was a really, really good album. Queen Latifah, still active, and she actually did a posse cut on the late great K Slay, rest in peace, his last mixtape. It was I think the track was like 16 or 17 minutes long, but he had like 30 of like the best rappers of all time on this one track. He went and grabbed everybody from Queen Latifah to Coke LaRock to KRS-One, the Graph, to the Lox, to everybody. So, Queen Latifah's still active, and she's still showing like she might be, in her 50s, but she could still spit with the best of them. So shout out to Queen Latifah and give her flowers, because she definitely deserves it. One of our icons and pioneers in this culture. So the next one we're going to get into, this one, I don't even think it's a debate on whether this album is or isn't a classic. I think most people already know, who he is and what he represents. We're going to get into none other than Top Dog, Big Snoop Dogg himself, Doggystyle. Oh man, Doggystyle is coming up on its 30th anniversary. And the irony of this album came out November 23rd, 1993. So this Doggystyle dropped 1 week later after Black Rain. And this is when albums used to come out on Tuesdays. So we got a classic 1 week from the women, and the following week the men dropped a classic debut. How I came about to find out about this album, I heard Gin and Juice on the radio, and of course I immediately fell in love with it. It was, there's no way you couldn't fall in love with that record. And of course, my parents were not trying to hear me sing about rolling down the street, smoking Indo, sipping on gin and juice, laid back with my mind on my money and my money on my mind. I think I was 11 years old when this came out. They wasn't trying to hear that. So, of course, the station got turned. But when I went to school, a friend of mine had the tape. So I was listening. I went to ask her. I was like, let me hear. That's Snoop Dogg. So she let me hear it. And I'm like, wow. Like, I was a kid, so I'm just mesmerized by, hearing this album. So we had to switch, periods, so we couldn't finish listening to the rest of the album till lunch. So once we got to lunch, then I found her again, and we listened to the album together, and it was just like, Doggystyle. It's one of those albums that it's a must-have if you are a hip-hop fan. Whatever your music collection is, if you claim hip-hop, or even if you don't even claim hip-hop, your music collection is going to lack without Doggystyle. It's a widely regarded, hip-hop classic. It's actually a music classic. I mean, he got everybody on here from, well, first let's start with the legendary, iconic Dr. Dre produced the entire album, top to bottom. He got everybody on here from the DOC, the Lady of Rage, Dogg Pound, RBX, George Clinton. He got the dramatics on the album. That's how smooth Snoop was on his debut. I need y'all to think about that. This is Snoop Dogg's debut album, his first album, and he's got George Clinton and the dramatics on his album. That right there, and it's produced by Dr. Dre. That tells you right there that this album was going to be something special and big beyond what we had ever seen in hip hop before. The album, I think, is like 8 or 9 times platinum, so it should be close to diamond. I'm surprised, even now with the way we stream music, the album hasn't gone diamond already. And, given, the stardom and status of Snoop Dogg, we can just run through the tracks. I mean, Gin and Juice, that's not even, really not much to discuss there. It's a classic. The Shiznit, Lottie Dottie, that's one of my favorite Snoop Dogg's. It's like, if I had to rank my top 5 Snoop songs, Lottie Dottie would be top 3, honestly. Murder Was a Case, another undisputed classic. Serial Killer, Ain't No Fun, Doggy Dog World, G's and Hustlers. I mean, it's like this album is the recipe for a classic album. And he was from the West Coast. And this is when, Snoop came out and really put the West Coast on the map. And its cultural impact was it really opened the door for, gangster music that was something you could party to. Whether you think it's, for good or bad purposes, the Crips was on the map for hip hop. That blue rag was just around the world. I mean, you could even venture to say Doggystyle was the reason why even people wanted to claim being Crip, because Snoop just was so smooth and so cool in his music. And, given his lifestyle and where he came up, it's like you really couldn't even debate it. So, this album, like I said, if you claim to be a music fan, and especially a hip hop fan, you gotta own Doggystyle. I know, in the past, some of my friends, I might troll with them, about Snoop, but, that's just all in fun with my friends. But to be honest with you, I do really love this album. If I had to, when I rank this album, just me personally, I put it in my top maybe 15 to 20, but most people will say it's a top 10, and I have no debate on that, because again, its cultural impact it's immeasurable. And for me, the impact on me was he just made it seem like it was just cool to be a laid back, chill dude that just liked to rap and have fun. It's this is again one of those albums like I had when I first wanted to start rapping. And I'm gonna tell y'all another funny story. So I couldn't, like I said, my parents would not let me listen to this at 11 years old. So I had to when I got my little allowance, I had to save it and then go off with my grandmother or my grandfather, and we go out, and then I brought the album, but I had to come home and hide it. So when I would listen to this, I would be listening to this in the middle of the night, or if I'm going to school, I tuck it in a pocket inside of my book bag that zips up so that nobody would know. So it's this album was just one of those. It was one of those albums you had to have and you wanted to have, So But as far as where Snoop Dogg is now, Snoop, I mean, one can say right now Snoop is the biggest, most famous hip-hop artist alive, maybe even of all time. I don't think there's a place in the world that people don't know who Snoop Dogg is. He's doing all types of businesses, from football leagues to, I think he was like bidding for ownership in a hockey team. I know he's a part owner in Ice Cube's Big 3 basketball league. He got his own cannabis, Snoop Dogg OG. He's supposed now. I also heard that Snoop is working on a new album produced by Dr. Dre called Missionary. So we'll see, if anything comes about that. But Snoop is still active. He's still doing what he does. It's really one of those. He's really one of those faces that, as long as time stands, you're going to see and hear about him. So. Let's go in. I'm going to go on live, see who's out here, see who's, online. Shout out to my man Ben, my bro. What's good? Shout out to you, Janelle. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, let's see what else we got. I don't pretty much see nobody else on here. Okay. So let me just ask y'all. So I'm going to ask Ben and I'm going to ask Janelle. What did y'all think of these albums when y'all were growing up? Doggystyle and Black Rain by Queen Latifah. Did y'all like them? Did y'all own them? Did they have impact on you? Let me know something. I'll give y'all a couple minutes. Hold on a second. Sorry, I always gotta have this when I'm doing it. Okay, so I don't know. So ain't much activity going on here. So all right. So not much going on. That's cool. So I'm gonna wrap this up then. So this is it for Throwback Thursday. We reviewed Black Rain by Queen Latifah. We reviewed Snoop Dogg Doggystyle. I'm going to hit y'all tomorrow with our Friday reviews and album releases. Again, if y'all haven't done it already, like, share, subscribe, comment. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, 410 Josh, hiphop_4123. I will see y'all tomorrow. And that is it for Throwback Thursday. Peace.